Without a doubt, 2020 is a year that none of us really have imagined. From March of this year, because of the COVID-19 coronavirus, all of us have entered into a drastically different lifestyle, from work, from school, from our daily lives, and obviously from church. And in these few months, as a church, we have gone through a tremendous amount of change and adaptations, for sure a lot of challenges and difficulties, but also a lot of experiences of God's grace and providence and just encounters with God. And if you were to ask us back in March, or even if you ask us now, how would ministry look like? How would our method look like? It's very difficult to give you a definite answer. But what we are sure of, and what we were sure of, is that we can't just wait until the pandemic's over and then continue church at that time. We can't just wait and chill until the pandemic passed and then we continue our development. That's not how church works. We must grab hold of this opportunity to continue our mission, which is to spread the gospel, to make disciples, and to worship God. And these missions don't change regardless of the scenario and the situation that we're in. The method might change, but the mission doesn't change. And in fact, we believe that in the midst of the pandemic, in a time where the world seems to get darker a bit each day, we believe as a church, we must be more proactive in our missions and spend even more time and energy and effort into our ministries to be the light of the world as Jesus has called us to be. So today, we want to take some time to recap with you, to share with you what we have done in the year of 2020. Or maybe it's better to word it this way, what God has done in the year of 2020. So that at the end of the year right now, we can give thanks to God for all that He has done. The first change that we have to make, of course, is regarding our Sunday services. Without the option of gathering physically, we opted to host our Sunday services online. During this time, the staff team and the servant team had to adapt to a completely new way of hosting church services, which include filming, which include the use of equipments, the production, servant schedule, and obviously how to lead and how to preach and how to talk in front of a camera. And at this moment, we're creating 2 online services each Sunday. Each service takes around 8 hours to film and 20 hours of post-production. That's in addition to our normal preparation time. So when you compare this to the physical gathering that we had, you can see it's a significant increase in time that we've spent into our production. Currently, we have around 15 people in our servant team and staff team that's involved with our weekly production. And I guess we want to share a special note here is our approach to worship services is not just, we are doing it because we have to. We're doing it because we're a church, so we have to keep pumping out content every single week. We're not just trying to do the minimal to get by, because you see, we believe that worship videos is a critical component of the spiritual life of our congregation, so that we can continue to have that discipline and routine of receiving the Word of God and also worshiping Him. And also, we are aware that hosting worship services online can open other possibilities of outreach. So that's why the staff team is putting in extra effort and time to continue to improve and invent new ways of delivering the Word of God and also leading us into worship each week. The challenge of not being able to hold physical worship services also affects, obviously, our children and our youth ministry. Previously, in physical gathering, we have had around 100 children and 30 youths in our worship services. And now our challenge right now is to continue to provide resources and a platform for them to worship and to connect with one another during this time. And right now, our children and youth ministry staff since March have been producing at least 3 weekly worship videos for our children and youth to worship online. And these videos include story elements, include teaching elements, include singing elements, gaming elements, activity elements. And as of September, just recently in September, we have also begun a brand new program called KEC and Youth Online, where our staff and our servant leaders, they meet with our children and our youth through the online video call platforms. Right now, we have 21 youths joining our weekly online worship, and we have around 80 children meeting weekly on Sunday in our KEC Online. So through the use of videos and video calls, we hope to continue to fulfill our ministry and our mission of making disciples and sharing the good news to our congregation, especially those of our next generation. Another key ministry during this time, obviously, is our ICOS, our small group ministry. This is especially critical ministry during this time because it allows our church to maintain connection with one another, to continue to meet and share with one another, and to continue to make disciples with one another. And this is especially important, as you can imagine, during a time of physical distancing. Right now, all of our small groups are meeting online weekly. And this year, we have a total of 21 small groups, some of which is in Cantonese and some of which is in English. I want to especially bring your attention to our developments in a few of those small groups. We began a young adult small group at the end of last year for students coming out of high school, which right now has around 15 members at the moment. These students are reading books, they're leading one another in teaching and activity, and they're growing with one another in their faith journey. And we also have 3 youth groups of around 30 students from grade 6 to 12. And this is really exciting to hear because these students, from our sharing, from our staff meetings, we hear that they are just as committed to the small groups as us, as adults. And they show up on time, they come every single week, they're eager to see one another and to connect with one another. And our prayer right now is that our small groups would continue to be the bulk and our main platforms of disciple making, especially during this challenging season. And we are very excited to see how these small groups will continue to grow and evolve, and how these brothers and sisters will continue to grow and be disciples of Jesus Christ. And obviously, another very, very exciting ministry development that we have made during this year, as you may remember, is the Reaching Out Generosity Ministry that we started in the month of April and May. In the month of April and May, we learned that COVID-19 pandemic has caused many challenges and difficulties, not just for us, but for a lot of communities and households in this community and around the world, in areas of finances and health and lifestyle. And as a church, we're determined to share the gospel, not only in words, not only in programs, but also in deeds and our good works. So it's at this time that we establish our Reaching Out campaign, our generosity campaign, focused to extend our generosity and help to those that are in need in our community and even around the world. And so here are some things that we have done in our generosity campaign until now. We collected from the church around 900 food items to donate to the Richmond Food Bank through the period of March to May. And we also supported a few nonprofit organizations in downtown East Side, including Mission Possible, Union Gospel Mission, and we donated around 2,500 masks for their daily operations. And we also just concluded our Richmond Christmas Fund, which I just mentioned earlier today. But perhaps the biggest step of generosity this year happened in May, where we donated the whole offering from that month, which amounted to around $100,000 to 4 organizations: Richmond Hospital, to Union Gospel Mission, to Doctors Without Borders, and to Compassion Canada. And obviously, our generosity campaign does not stop in 2020. This is going to be a reoccurring, continuing generosity campaign to bring the blessings and love of God to the people in need around us. And our prayer is that throughout this journey, we'll be able to share the word, and share the love to those around us. And most importantly, I think, is we will continue to grow and become more faithful and loving disciples of Jesus Christ. So these are just a few of the biggest highlights of our ministry this year. And of course, there's so many to mention. Like, we had an outdoor baptism near the month of November, and we also had a children online summer camp in the summer area. But the biggest highlights perhaps is not the programs, not the ministries, but the people behind the ministries, the life change and the growth and the disciple making behind these ministries. And as a church, we are extremely grateful to be a part of all of these the past year. And so if you have any questions about our ministry developments or about our ministries, you can feel free to contact us, contact our pastors, and we'll be more than glad to share with you more. As we have said in the beginning, these few months have been challenging and difficult, no doubt. But the staff team is more than ever more determined to carry out the mission of the church during this time. We're working hard to share the gospel and make disciples and glorify God. And so we ask all of you, our church family, to continue to support us in prayer, in service, and in offering. And may God bless the work of our hands, and may He use Koinonia Church even more for His glory in the coming year.